everybody, I am Niharika and today we're going to talk about jobs and occupation. Now, we keep meeting different people from various fields on various occasions, and almost every time we meet new people, they ask you about your profession, isn't it? And we might get a little nervous while answering this because we don't know what exactly do we talk about. So here we are going to learn how to talk about our profession, okay? So we're going to look at the most common question here, what do you do? Okay, so what do you do is the most common question that people ask you when they mean to ask you about your profession. All right, now there are many people who also ask what you doing. Now what you doing is not the correct way, because if you end up asking what you doing, then the response to this question would be I am cooking or I am reading a book. Okay, so that's not the correct way. Most simple and the correct way is what do you do? So here you would answer about your job title, what exactly you do. Okay, so the response to this question here would be I am a teacher. So if you are a teacher, you would say I am a teacher. Or if you are a news reporter, then you would say I'm a news reporter. Okay, now if you do your own business, if you have your own setup, okay, you don't really work for someone, but you have your own setup, maybe you have people working for you, then you are a businessman, okay? So you are a businessman, or you can also say that I am self-employed, all right? Another way to say is that I am an entrepreneur. All right, so these are the various ways that you talk about your own business, right? Now, we would look at, and there are so many women who are at home. They take care of their wonderful family and their children, so they are great homemakers. So, if you are at home, then you would say that I am a homemaker, or you can also say that I am a housewife. Okay, so you can say I am a housewife. So this is exactly your job title. Okay, now another way of asking about someone's profession is what do you do for a living? Okay, so many people would ask you, what do you do for a living? Okay, now this question is commonly asked to the younger lot. Okay, now if you end up asking this to a 40-year-old man who's already settled in his career, he might get a little offended. So you can ask this question, what do you do for a living, to mostly the younger people. Okay, and the correct way to answer, okay, the exact response to this question would be that I work as a teacher. Okay, I work as a teacher, okay? Or you can say I work as a news reporter. Now that we looked at our job title, like talking about your profession in general, we would look at what sort of work do you do? So here this question means that what is the nature of your job? You would be getting into details, okay? So what kind of nature of your job? Okay, so when someone would ask you what sort of work do you do, then the response would be that I teach English at the high school. So this, you're giving out details. You're telling about the particular subject that you teach. So there are many teachers and they teach various subjects, like some teach physics, some teach chemistry, history. So here specifically, I'm giving the detail that I teach English at the high school, okay? We also looked at that I am a news reporter, isn't it? That was the job title. Now here, you're again giving out that what kind of a news reporter you are. So here, I am a crime reporter and I do a lot of field work. So it's also giving you the details that what kind of job it is. Maybe it's more of traveling. Okay, so the crime reporter has to travel a lot for their investigations, right? So here, I am a crime reporter and I do a lot of field work. It's basically describing the job. Now, I run a retail garment store. This is for the businessman. Okay, so if a person has his own thing, okay, so maybe he has his own retail store, so he is saying that I have a retail garment store, okay, and maybe he has many people working for him, so that is the information that he would give out for such a question. What sort of work do you do? Now here we have another question for you, that is, what line of work are you in? So this question really means that what industry are you working in, okay? So, all right, or what field? Now there are various fields, right? There is medicine, there's engineering, there's construction, so there are various fields that you can work in, right? That you work for, isn't it? So here when someone would ask you what line of work are you in, then we can answer that I am into education, like we saw that I am a teacher, isn't it? And I teach English for in high school, then you would say that I'm into education. And we also saw about the news reporter. We took that as an example. So here, if someone would ask the line of work, then the answer would be I work for a media house. Okay? And if you have your own business, if you're self-employed, then the correct answer would be that I am into retailing, or I'm into construction, I'm into IT, or I have my own hotel. Okay, so there are various ways of saying it, right? There's another question that people would ask you is, whom do you work for? So here basically people would like to know that what company do you work for? Okay, what is the institution's name that you work for? Okay, so the response to this question here would be that whom do you work for? So maybe if you're a teacher, like we said, I'm a teacher. So if you're a teacher, then you can tell about your school's name, okay? So maybe you're a teacher for St. Mary's. So you would say that I work for St. Mary's High School, or I'm a teacher in St. Mary's High School. Both the ways would be correct. All right. And if someone would ask, whom do you work for? And as we saw that the person is a news reporter, then the correct answer would be that I work for a media house, or I work for a news channel, I work for CNN, okay? So you have to just give out the company's name, right? And if you have your own business, then this question would not be applicable, but people would also ask you, what is your company's name, okay, or what's your store's name? So therefore you can just give out your store's name or your company's name. That would be perfect. So now we would look at the various other ways that we talk about our jobs. Now there are people who do their internships, right? They work as interns or as trainees. So here I have an example for you that I am doing an internship with an ID company. Now what is an internship? Internship is basically an on-job training, which is extremely important, okay? So for example, if you're doing your medicine, okay, if you want to become a doctor, okay, you're studying medicine, then it is important for you to work for a hospital, okay, as a trainee, right? So here you're learning the job. It's important for your professional career, isn't it? So you're also paid for it, however, it's more on-job training, okay? We also have people who say that I am training to be a nurse. Now here, I am training to be a nurse means that she is still studying, okay? They are still pursuing their studies. So either they're doing a professional diploma course, or so basically they're still studying, and that's when you say that I am training to be a nurse. Now we have people who have taken a break, or they have taken a sabbatical, okay? So here an example for you that I am on a break, or I am on a sabbatical. Now basically Sabbatical means that a person has taken a break from his job, from his company. Okay, many companies have sabbatical policies. So they have taken a break, maybe for they want to pursue their higher studies, or maybe they just want to be at home for their children. Okay, so that's a break that the person has taken, and the person still would have a job by the end of the sabbatical period. Okay, if the sabbatical period is of 1 year, by the end of that 1 year, the person would still have the job with the same company. Okay, so that's when people say that I'm on a break or I'm on a sabbatical. So now we would look at another sentence here, that there are people who do a lot of social service. Okay, there are people who work for disabled children, they work for some NGOs, they also work for animals. So they would say that I do a voluntary job or I do social service. Now, voluntary job or social service, here you're not paid. Okay, you are doing it just because you're really a nice person. Okay, so here you're not paid for such jobs. It's just a social work that you do. Okay, now we also have people who work as part-timers. Now there are these young students who just get out of college and they work for some coffee shops or at McDonald's, right? So they would say that I work as a part-timer. There are also many women who are at home, however they do some kind of a online job, so just like for 2 hours a day. So again, that's also a part-time job for them, right? And we also have people who freelance. Okay, so now what are freelancers? Freelancers are basically the people who are not committed to a particular company. Okay, so they do it on their own wish. If they have a project, they would work for the project and then they are done. Okay, so they are paid according to the projects that they take. Right, so that's how a freelancer is. And if you are a freelancer, you would say that I am a freelancer for maybe for a media firm. Now there are freelancer writers and various other people who freelance. So these are the various ways that you talk about your job. You get into details, and if you want to keep the conversation going, you can also talk about how much you love your work. Maybe you love the work environment, or how convenient your office is located, and various other things. You can also talk about how competitive your company is. So this would help you to talk about your job, about your profession in a more confident manner. Okay, so please do write into us. I do read all your comments. Please do write that what kind of a profession you are in, and I would be happy to read it all.